You come to New York City, where you have 50-story buildings and within 10-meter distance of each other, where do you start? And literally, this was the financial district. So we had all the big banks literally sharing walls there, and 4 of them, and we had to find a rogue access point somewhere in these 200 floors. So it did take a bit of time, but guess what? We were pretty determined. So we pretty much nailed it. We got it. What happened? So there was a victim and there was an attacker. Everyone knew that. No rocket science there. That wall there is not a firewall. It's a physical wall. I couldn't get a better picture for that one. So what we thought was happening was this guy put up a rogue access point of sorts. The victim, because of the misconfiguration, started talking to this access point because it's a pretty high signal. Like I said, they were sharing a wall, literally. The attacker obviously got notified of that because that was his access point, associated with the access point, and started going after the victim. Now the victim, unfortunately, was configured with a blank local admin password. So that obviously made life a lot simpler for this attacker. He pretty much guessed the local administrative password, got on the machine, mapped a NetBIOS share, dumped his tools on there, and then basically started going after NetBIOS logins against the domain controller, and that was the bunch of packets we were actually seeing. But this attacker was not as smart as you guys are, and you know what he did was, he didn't actually look at, enumerate the account lockout policy. So he didn't enumerate the account, I said that. He didn't enumerate the account lockout policy, third time, to understand that basically accounts got locked out after 5 invalid attempts. So he just went crazy after each one of these accounts, which he had enumerated via NetBIOS, and kept going after them, trying thousands of passwords, unknowingly locking out every one of those accounts, which were the traders. He was hitting the domain on which the traders' accounts were configured. 172 traders gone, just locked out of their accounts. So a simple misconfiguration on one of the machines at an organization had such a point to go after end users. He figured it's easier to do that than try to breach the physical security of that organization, especially in New York City, going through those cattle herders and I guess all kinds of metal detectors to get up there and go after servers. It was a lot easier sitting where he was to go after the end user and then hack the domain controller. So, what would be nirvana? Well, I guess what would be nirvana is if organizations started bearing the onus of user awareness like I discussed. So if financial institutions, for example, or any organization for that matter, started doing a lot more security awareness training, started telling their staff a lot more about what they need to look out for, what they need to do, what they don't need to do from a security standpoint, how they need to patch their systems or have them patched for them. Incorporate procedural measures. Going back to the lady who lost $50,000, what kind of shocked me was the first time she lost $20,000, the bank was notified of that, but she still lost another $20,000. I don't care what the technical controls are. I don't care if her system's unpatched, but at that time, her bank account should have been frozen. There were no procedural controls. And that was not acceptable. So I think there the bank was at fault. Now, when I talk about this case in the US again, I often get asked, but what about regulations? For example, California SB 1386 requires the bank, if it has branches in California, to actually come out and say customer data has been compromised, or GLIBA or any of those financial related regulatory bodies have created these regulations. Guess what? Unfortunately for this lady, this bank was, like they say, in the Caribbean, man. So they were not under any of those regulations. No procedural controls. They were pointing the finger back at this poor lady who had no clue about how to patch systems and what needs to be done to prevent Trojans from getting on your machine. When I spoke to her, she said, well, I got antivirus running on there. Well, you saw what the antivirus guy said. This is no risk to you. It's just $50,000, no big deal. Also, organizations, often I get into debates with administrators who say there's no need to block outbound traffic. They're like, because that's our users going outbound. Well, fortunately, I don't know if you heard the name, but Richard Baitlick, a big guy who's pretty big time into IDSs, IPSs, and network monitoring, is coming up with a book later this fall, which is called Extrusion Detection. The whole damn book is based on how to block outbound connections. So hopefully that gets through the thick skin of those administrators and they start looking into blocking outbound connections randomly. As far as end users are concerned, obviously, if they're aware of the threats, they do a lot better being secure if they keep their systems patched. I know sometimes it's kind of ridiculous even to expect that of users. But importantly, don't browse the internet as administrator, because that kind of solves a few of the issues. From Tony's talk yesterday, Tony Shore, that is, it seemed like they're implementing some sort of privilege restriction in IE7, which is definitely, I think, something that had been required for a while. So they're basically taking care of that for you in IE7. So, if all that's not enough, then let's add one more thing, and all that, and I'll be a retired millionaire in the Bahamas. Yeah, that'd be cool too. That was pretty much all I had. I'd be happy to take any questions that you guys have. I know you guys want to get to the iPod raffle, but questions? Who said that? Does that look like me? Oh, damn. Shit.
Regarding that rogue access point.
Oh, okay, not the photo, the rogue access point.
Yeah.
Okay. Rogue access point.
If that bank is not having a wireless network,
right,
then what your forensics did he physically hack into a computer to plug in a Wi-Fi card?
His laptop was pretty much like my laptop, which had inbuilt wireless onto it, which was enabled by default.
I thought it was a desktop.
More importantly, it was a traveling laptop, so it made it even more fun. If it picked up a virus at home, it came to the bank. I guess like they say, Salamat Tinggal, if I got that right.